All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Ouran High School Host Club, Episode 8. Yes,
right,
let's get into this wonderful show. Yeah,
we got
because
some good honey focus.
We did.
Last episode.
And Takashi, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
He said a whole 11 words.
It was
incredible.
almost too much.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, that's out of character.
Give it away.
Just put on the brakes.
My emotion.
Yeah. But it was hilarious. It was wonderful. It was one of the most ridiculous episodes of Ouran we've seen thus far, which is saying something.
Yeah.
And
the private military police security force was deployed.
Yeah. I mean,
Actually.
they were mentioned, in the first episode with, Kyouya, but okay, they were actually brought in. And now that we've gone through them, not the private military, or the police force, but
Takashi could have gone all right through them if he wanted to.
Oh, definitely. But we've got Takashi and Honey. We got the twins. We got Kyouya. Are we getting actual Tamaki focus? Serious Tamaki focus?
Maybe Haruhi focus.
Or maybe Haruhi focus. Yeah.
Yes, we shall see. We shall see. So, y'all, without further ado, let's just jump right into it.
本物の海なら行ってもいいって。
言ったっけ？
言いました。というわけで。
Aha!
Oh my. Okay.
可愛いだろう。
僕はこういうのがはるちゃんには似合うと思うな。
Honey is so adorable.
None of this One Piece stuff.
This is Ouran.
制服を着ただけでごまかせてしまうまな板具合。
Wow, Little Miss A Cup.
お粗末極まりない体型丸分かりで涙がさせるね。その点、僕らが厳選したこのセパレートタイ
The frills do definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
カバーするのであります。
Although it almost seems like a bit much.
Wow!
じゃあ行かないの？海。
The 2 balls in the home run! Oh my god!
異論はないな。
本当に行くの？
いざ海へ行こう。
We can see that Takashi is a man of culture. He sees the
Indeed.
two little shells and he's just like,
And then
Alright,
just a
this
bunch of string.
yeah, it's like, this is what I'm about right here. Wait, did they actually bring some of the host club girls?
I guess.
They did. Oh my god! They did, and it's... Wow. Working on location!
Yeah,
Alright!
yeah.
Wait, why is the ball suddenly huge? What?
なぜだ？
ツーショットタイム終了です。
Oh!
Wow.
Yes!
Wow.
お前たち部員はただで招待して。
But we have to achieve a net profit here.
Exactly.
ある日に水着は着せられない。
Can't dip into the bread after all.
Kekakudori?
可愛い娘の水着姿を。
Ah!
お前らの目になって。
Haha! The king and the queen win out again.
Yes, please, yes.
Oh my god.
そして夕暮れになって
Yep, just the
He's
two
quite a
notes,
bit
the two
taller in
notes.
his head.
Yes.
波打ち際をお散歩するのだ。
本当？綺麗な夕日。こうして一緒に見ていたいですね。
She has the like, you know.
今夜の晩ご飯は大量ですよ。
そうかそうか、我が娘よ。
大量ですよ。大量ですよ。
なんだ？
今夜のご飯はごちそうですよ。
Oh no.
どうだハルヒ、でっかいカニさんは好きかに？
Crabtivating. And he immediately takes notes on that.
誰がハルヒの弱点を見つけられる？
Oh no, oh no.
Oh God.
Oh no. These little
Well.
devils.
悪趣味な遊びだ。そうだよね。
Hmm.
弱点なんて親しいものにしか見せない。
Ah, yes, of course.
Ah!
来なくっちゃ。
Oh no.
たものには俺から商品を出してやろう。
Their faces.
そ
Yeah.
れでは全員参加という。
Honey's just like, this sounds like fun.
Wow, wow.
なんでその写真持ってんの？
That is a good question.
Do not ask silly questions.
とだけ申し上げておきましょうか。
何これ？肝試しなんか？
Kind of tropey, but yeah, yeah.
お化けとか怖くないの？
見た
No.
ことないからね。
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No paranormal
Right.
fear.
Oh no, what is Honey planning?
こんなもの入れちゃっていいんですか？
それじゃあプライベートポリスの皆さんお願いします。
Oh! That logo!
暗いよ狭いよ怖いよ暗いよ
ハニー先輩。
Honey, I love you.
Oh.
これって森ですね。森先輩。
That was his whole strategy.
Yeah.
Pointy thing goes point.
Yep.
ラッキー。彼女たち。
Oh,
一緒に遊ぼうよ
really? Okay.
あなたたちは
女の子ばかりじゃつまんないでしょ。
やめてください。ここはプライベート
And then
ポリ
Honey
ス
comes in and beats the shit out of them.
様ってやつ。
離れてくれません。
Oh.
嫌がっているでしょう。
このガキ。それハンだよ。
Oh! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh, the snake's in there like,
Yeah.
what?
Huh? What? What's going on?
なんだよこの細い腕は。女みてえなくせにかっこつけんじゃねえよ。ガキはおとなしく海水浴でも。
What if swimming is her fear?
Oh, can she not swim? Wait. You'll have to give her mouth-to-mouth Tamaki. Wait.
Tamaki takes her deeper
Right, yeah, I was gonna say, like...
into his mind palace of. Oh!
医者は呼んであるからすぐに。
Well
Actually,
done.
was it covered last episode that she couldn't swim?
大丈夫ですよ。医者なんて。
女の自分一人で男を相手に何とかできるってどうして思うわけ。
I was worried about
男
you.
とか女とか関係ないでしょ。あんなところに居合わせて、そんなこと考えてる人。
ちょっとは考えろバカ。お前は女なんだぞ。
迷惑かけたのは謝りますけど、それ以外で怒られる意味がわかりません。間違ったことはしていない。
そうかよ。それなら勝手にしろ。間違いを認めるまでお前とは口を聞かん。
Oh! Whoa! Whoa! Tamaki!
Well, this got interesting.
Yeah! Aww.
It's a very cute dress.
Yeah.
ハルヒその服自前。
父が勝手に荷物詰め替えたらしくて、
Ah.
こういうのばっかり着せたがるんだよね。
Oh.
丈夫。ハルヒ父。
Yes!
They had that ready.
Yep. Yes.
あー、
Oh.
このカニはうまいカニ。なんちゃって。
Yes! This montage!
Uh-huh.
食べ過ぎじゃないか。
あれ、口聞かないんじゃなかったん
Oh!
ですか。
可愛くない。
I'm being nasty? Wait, was...
よく
Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah. He was, yeah. Yeah.
もういい。俺は寝る。今日や部屋まで
Yep.
案内して
Yep.
くれ。
Yep.
わかったじゃあ俺もお先に失礼す
I
る。
have to go see what's wrong with my husband, yeah. Yeah. Why he's being so petty. Oh.
空手とか習ったの？
Oh! Yeah! Oh!
男を相手に何とかできるって。
Yeah, because you can translate what that means.
なんだ気にしてんじゃん。正直今日みたいな無茶は僕も反省してほしいけどね。
なんで？
Yeah, you have
彼たち
friends.
には迷惑かけてないじゃん。
違うよはるちゃん。
Yeah,
みん
yeah.
なにごめんしよう。
心配してたんですか？
Of course, yeah.
この子は
ごめんなさい。
何この正
Yeah, yeah. And he just continues eating
Continues
it, shell
eating
all.
it with
Yep.
the shell.
Yep.
どうした？
Yep.
気持ち悪い。
Weakness?
カニ食べ過ぎ。
Too much crab. Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
洗面所行って洗面所。
すいません。なんか皆さんに心配
Ah,
かけた
probably the one with the best insight into Tamaki here.
俺は別に心配などしていない。
Ah, of course not. Because of how much Tamaki worried.
ただ 光と薫が
Yes!
大変だったけどな。
Of course, he's just standing there watching, glasses shining.
なんならその花代体で
Wait,
払ってもいいぞ。
Talking about hosting. Wait.
男も女も関係ないという自分の甘さを
Oh.
見直すことだな。
Oh.
あまりに無防備なのはお前のミスだ。
京也先輩はしませんよ。
Of course not. But why are you doing it?
自分に手出しても何のメリットもないでしょ。
Mm.
確かに。
Yeah.
まったく面白いねお前。
Yeah, I suspected as much.
意外に優しいってことが。
Which isn't saying much, you know, he's probably the coldest one of them all.
フォローなんでしょ。
京やローションあるから
Honey, yeah.
意外にきつくって。
京也お前。ほら勝手に使えバカ。メリットね。それなりに興味深い感想だ。
Okay.
京
Well,
也と何をしてた？
何も。
何もってことあるか。じゃあなんで部屋の明かりを消して二人っきりで。だいたいお前は。
もういい。今日はいろいろあって。
Translation. I'm tired.
Yeah.
A lot has happened today.
yeah, I can't deal right now.
Oh, the back of the shirt tug. Classic.
Oh, she's scared of thunder?
Oh, is that it? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yes.
ちょっと用事を思い出したので。
こんなところに。こらハルヒ
Oh,
Don't come in here. Yep.
remember, she lost her mom, so there are probably nights when
感じで乗り切って
she was alone in the house and
いつも
Yeah, no one
And-
to comfort her.
yeah, during a storm. Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
All right.
yeah.
いるのに呼びもし
Yeah, because she doesn't assume that people are nearby to be able to help her with things like this. So, oh, I get it.
All right.
分かった。
Yeah.
いいよ。俺の負けだ。
Oh, oh, classic. Oh.
Alright.
お前が一人にならないように、せいぜい目を離さないことにするよ。
Ah, nice. Nice with the Kyouya bit earlier. Nice. Yeah.
殿入るよ。
ほら、目隠しをすればもう見えないし、耳栓をすれば。
ああ、本当だ。
最低。
The dash before the
All right.
play.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
殿は SM の趣味もあるみたいだけど。
Ah!
ちょっと言うとろうが。
そっか、俺が SM って
Oh, she didn't even know.
知らずに変なことさせられちゃったね。
違うだろ。俺はお前のために。出してくれ。おい。
Wait, they abandoned him there. Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
This episode was chock full of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Like,
I thought
surprisingly
the-
for the beach episode, you know?
Right, right.
So many jokes, but then also like they went like really heavy with things towards the end there.
They did.
To where I
And-
was like, I'm not sure
Yeah.
how to feel about this.
Because it's still something where a lot of the characters in this show, because they're young and in high school and everything, are blah.
Because, yeah.
And unfortunately, we didn't get some of the ones that I would have liked to acknowledge their baka nature. Now, granted,
Yeah.
Tamaki is fairly hopeless with regards to his baka-ness, so
we are very
you know.
capable of understanding where the baka
Exactly,
stuff extends. Yeah. Okay, wow. The
Well,
beach episodes
that was-
in anime just tend to have a lot of things in it that you don't see
Well,
coming necessarily.
As far as, yeah,
Like it has a lot of the cliche stuff in there, specifically like the whole, bathing suit
and all of that stuff.
specifically.
And, yep,
You know,
yep.
what types of fan service will we get here? Well, we'll get Tamaki alone time fan service for all the girls that come there because Kyouya's like, well, we're gonna make some money off
Right.
of this trip.
Well, and I'm not sure if it was. It seemed like it was something where Haruhi actually specifically brought, or someone brought along the girls as clients basically for the trip. But was that Haruhi's way of basically saying, I'm going to avoid needing to actually get in a bathing suit because
no,
we need to maintain the image that I'm a girl or that I'm a boy.
This is Kyouya's setup here.
Gotcha.
Kyouya's the one that basically has things go this way.
To just keep it profitable.
To keep it basically as a reasonable reason for them to...
Gotcha. I thought it was some next level, like, big brain play of Haruhi's to be like, I know they're trying to, get me to dress up all girly and stuff, and I don't want to do that, so I'll just, get it so that we're still doing club activities, and then I don't have to.
It's Tamaki that says, but it's all going according to plan, because if she
my plan
to do this, then you guys don't get to put your eyes over her body in that
way.
Yeah. So if anything, it feels like the leaders of the host club set this up specifically so that, one, they get something out of him, Kyouya setting them up here at this place, but also then Tamaki doesn't have to share any aspect of Haruhi with all
share
that.
As if he was getting to see her in the bathing suit anyways.
He is the egotistical, maniac king after all. So his black nature is in that.
But some of the hilarious things that happened at the beach, Honey going looking for like crabs and stuff, and then Kyouya's private police force
on the other side of the rock being like, okay, we're just going to dump a whole bunch out here so he can find a whole ton of them.
Right, because we feel really bad about what we did, last time.
I don't know how you would go hunting for that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Oh, man. And Takashi is probably in on it, and he's like keeping Honey in this location so he doesn't see the big truck literally like 100 feet on the other side of the rock over there. Just hut. Amazing.
That was wonderful.
Hilarious. Yes. I loved all the stuff with the hosts basically doing their gimmicks here on the beach and going for all the cliche.
The twins running through the sand while laughing. Slow motion and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
And then, of course, Haruhi managing to be like, no. I can charm these girls just fine without swimming, without being in a bathing suit or anything.
You go be beautiful.
I would love to
watch you from here.
Yeah.
And they're like, Haruhi.
I suppose, Yeah. And then the whole thing of, okay, wait just a sec. All right, we got to have some sort of anime tropes in here. We need to have the part where the girl goes, "Oh no, save me!" And clutches the arm of the guy, right?
Yeah, indeed.
While blushing and all scared and stuff.
But Haruhi does not have fears.
Haruhi has nerves of steel.
She just picked up a centipede and tossed it away from that big crab. She did get a little bit of the heebie-jeebies once she saw or imagined the whole beach to be full of these crabs and shellfish and stuff. But that was more of just
that's fairly natural.
The shock of like...
Yeah, anyone would be surprised by all of that.
Are they that pervasive through here? And it's, no, they're being fed through the way there. But when they go to find out her weakness, they are all aghast
flummoxed
to find out that she is not typically... afraid of those usual things.
Right, the stereotypes that they would want to, attribute to her don't really fit.
Nope. Nope. God,
okay.
She cannot be a heroine if she has this few fears.
How can she be brave
how can she
be an anime character?
How are we going to support her as men if she does not have fears that force her to cling to us?
Right, exactly.
But we get into the very interesting topic of the fact that when it comes down to it, she's not as strong as the guys here.
Because she's smaller than they are.
She is smaller. So then when these guys start picking on the
girls,
the clients that come here,
and then she stands up to them and starts throwing stuff at them. It's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
But she is by herself. She's smaller, and there are two of them. And she doesn't...
She is in a precarious situation where she could have drowned.
Yeah.
She could have died.
Yeah, like that was, and they definitely meant her ill. And
she fell on her head into the water from like a 40-foot height.
Yeah.
Like she was probably unconscious when she hit the water.
Right.
If we go for actual realism here, there's a possibility that she was unconscious.
Yeah, you don't want to, like, even if she can swim and stuff, which I can't remember if they mentioned whether she can swim or not.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I think it might just be that she doesn't like to, but
that might be also because she doesn't want to be forced to wear bathing suits and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
But so yeah, she didn't actually call on her friends, some of them being expert martial arts masters and things
people
like that.
People that could have kicked their asses by themselves.
Right. So it's something where it's like, hey, yes, Haruhi, you totally can stand up to them, but at the same time, you need to acknowledge when you're in danger.
When you need help.
When you need help, right? Because and this is one of those things where I feel like it can feel like a weird thing for it to be like sort of brought up in the show, because these these characters that are bringing it up are high schoolers, so they're not bringing it up in necessarily the best way because they don't know how to, they don't fully understand their feelings and they don't know how to communicate it, right? But the concern they have is, hey, we're worried
scared.
about you. We were really scared about you. You almost died today. And it felt like it was very avoidable. Right.
And also, you don't seem to realize
that you almost died.
Well, we care about you so much
that
we were readily available to do anything and everything to help you in this, but you didn't because you forgot about us.
Right.
We weren't in your mind at that given moment.
Yeah.
Now, that's understandable from our perspective. We know why she wasn't thinking about them. She just decided, act. I do something. I don't think about the consequences.
I can, tell these guys where to get off. That's I can totally do that.
This is the example of where I've heard a lot of stories of people who have that first fight. It's such a typical guy thing. It's hilarious to hear about in retrospect, but it's also something where they realize, oh God, why am I falling into this typical like macho behavior when I literally don't even know how to throw a punch? There's that moment when they're at the bar or something like that, and someone gets a little bit handsy or what have you, and they decide not to step in the way and be like, hey, cut it out, get
back off,
get the bouncer, get the bartender, help, what have you. But like, no, I'm going to take this on myself. In fact, I'm going to take you outside, and I'm going to show you like what a real man is like.
It's almost like Tamaki's whole thing of his imagination of how things will go versus how it would really go.
And then you go out there, and you realize that once you went out there, that guy who was drunk at the bar has 3 buddies that walked out with you, and they beat the shit out of you. Like I've heard stories of people where it's that thing of where they're like, yeah, I'm going to fight him. And then they realize, wait, I don't even know how to throw a punch.
Right.
And then they wake up.
There's more to it than you would originally think.
Yeah, and like the bouncer like saved their life because they almost like crashed crashed a bottle over them and we're going to cut them up and stuff. So, yeah.
Right. And so
know your limits.
Right, know your limits. And in this situation, it causes conflict and if anything that there were 2 things that I kind of wished went differently.
Yeah.
But one of them is that Tamaki didn't the way he responded was very immature.
Of course, because he's immature.
Because he is immature.
Yep.
And that wasn't something that he ended up also apologizing for, even though Haruhi ended up also acknowledging that, oh yeah, sorry, you guys were hurt and worried and all that stuff, and etc. The other one
that shows just where the maturity level on specific things goes, though. That's part of where Tamaki's character is going to have to grow, whereas Haruhi already has the leg up on him with regards to that kind of maturity.
Exactly. Yeah, so, and that's something where if they end up actually like getting closer and going into any kind of relationship territory, they can complement each other. Right? Yep. Because that's you need to have that in a healthy relationship, right?
He'll evolve a little bit.
And that's something that Tamaki isn't used to because he's used to being the host in the host
I am
club.
always right.
I am always right. I am always gorgeous and handsome and beautiful, and the girls swoon over me, and that's all that matters, right?
Right.
And then suddenly, oh, wait, no, that isn't all that matters. Wait, there's this person I'm really scared about their well-being, and I don't know how to actually confront them about it and be respectful of what they were doing, which was a good thing that they were doing, So, then I end up saying, I'm not talking to you again until you apologize, which
is petty.
Very petty.
And they're in high school and stuff, so
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the one that's a little bit more interesting here is the Kyouya situation.
Right.
So we understand why Kyouya did it.
It's fairly straightforward.
We understand it. It's rather straightforward. The fact that Haruhi is very quick to understand because, one, let's just come right out and say it, Kyouya is not interested in women.
No.
Yeah, it was rather obvious. I would say about 2 or 3 episodes in that Kyouya was at the very least not straight. Rather bit there.
Well, and of all of the characters in the host club, I think Kyouya and then maybe Takashi were the ones that had the least amount of times shown of them basically charming the girls, right? And for Takashi, it makes sense because he hardly ever talks, right? So he's just sort of a presence that stands there and makes sure that Honey doesn't get into too much trouble. But for Kyouya, it's like, okay, maybe he's just the manager, or maybe it's something different.
Yeah, I started to get the vibes. There were a couple bits of dialogue that happened, and with the way that he would refer to a lot of the goings on within the club, showed him as being separate from that. and thus I
Gotcha.
was like, there is a possibility that at the very least he is bi, or not even,
straight up has no interest in these girls at all.
not interested in necessarily anyone in that case.
Yeah.
So that could be a huge part of it. But
The whole thing of him pushing her onto the bed, though, that is something that does need to be talked about, and it doesn't necessarily need to take up too much time in the discussion. But
No.
I mean, what can we say? That's very much crossing a line.
It's a point that's being made in a way that is not necessary.
Right.
It's a way that Kyouya gets across the point that yes, there are dangers at play if you go at things alone. The context of that, well, I'm a man, you're a woman kind of stuff gets into a bit of a thing of where you could make the point, like if we wanted to just throw out a scenario, an example here, where your lack of trust in us from before, that you're not willing to call for us for help in that regard, shows that maybe at the very least you should acknowledge whether or not you trust us even here, just in general.
Gotcha.
That's kind of what he was saying in that, do you trust me by being in this physically vulnerable state here? Now that is a method that I just cannot agree with, because it is too it is way too I would say aggressively violent to make the point here.
Right. You don't
and Haruhi is probably the most mature person other than you, Kyouya. So you don't need to.
Right, exactly.
You don't need to use that method.
You
in order
should be able
get the
to
point
use
across.
your words just fine to be able to communicate the situation to her. What I thought was maybe going to be brought up, and as the reason why he was doing it, is there is a very good possibility that since you weren't calling for help, once those guys started to rough you up, that they could have realized that you were a girl and things could have taken a turn for something like this.
Yes, that is very possible.
Like that because that was something I was kind of worried about once they grabbed her by the shirt and everything, of like, was he going to, like, once he grabbed her by the shirt, he was actually going to like see down there or something, and
A cup breast size in that point saved her.
Right.
It saved her in that respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, that is a relevant aspect of the topic there, in that the guys that came up there to harass the girls there probably were going to sexually assault them.
yeah,
At least.
right,
Because that's essentially what they were already doing. It was just a matter of time.
right, exactly.
And then also maybe the awkward
Hence why it
aspect
was
of
so
the
important
fact.
for Haruhi to step in.
Right. Also, potentially the awkward fact of where there were 3 of them, and probably the guys would have probably hurt 1 or 2 of them before they ended up doing whatever they intended to do.
Right. It was all sorts of a bad situation. And one of the things that I do want to mention here is that scene basically is, of the guys that are, right, exactly.
Yeah.
That is a cliche in anime, so I think there could be a possibility for the audience to basically discount the reactions of the other boys in the club, because that's something that you maybe have seen in other anime before, and it ends up going just fine because they end up the people get saved or whatever.
Because there's always a protagonist nearby.
Right,
so
exactly.
There's a little bit of a switcheroo in that, in this case, Haruhi is not a physically strong protagonist.
She does not have the capabilities of actually, kicking these guys' asses. But that's something that, because
happens all the time.
Well, it happens, but that is something that these other boys in the club, Haruhi's friends, would have no grid for how to handle this necessarily. They would be absolutely terrified for her, right? So like,
exactly.
The fact that they over-respond in the way that they do,
cut them a little slack.
Cut them a little slack,
in that
right?
regard,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But
the main response that I think that's really, really important to get here is that this ends up in a situation where Kyouya really quickly acknowledges, oh, you're way smarter, way more perceptive, way more mature than I gave you credit for, and immediately stops trying to use this as any kind of metaphor. Tamaki shows up, sees this whole thing. What is happening here? And Kyouya very quickly leaves to basically let this be a moment more for the 2 of them.
Right, to talk and work things out because they still do need to figure it out.
Yeah. And him intentionally playing the bad guy and stuff like that is something that she doesn't really get a response from him regarding.
Right, but then
once he leaves in the hallway, he kind of thinks about what she said. Nothing to be gained, eh? Well, an interesting thought.
In its own way. Yeah.
In some respect, he's kind of I would say the big shipper of the of the group as well. Now, because they ended up having this conversation in this room and setting and stuff like that, and Tamaki eventually coming in here and stuff, he did kind of leave them an opportunity here to get to know each other a little bit more.
Sure.
In a more, secluded space away from the two devil twins.
Right, to actually talk, because I feel like this is something where it wasn't that he was getting Tamaki and Haruhi to talk, but he was getting Tamaki and Haruhi to potentially talk in a situation where Tamaki would let go of a lot of the bravado
because he's not around anyone.
Because he's not around anyone else, but also there's already a potential sense of bravado of I'm potentially the white knight coming in here, right? Or the whole thing of, oh wait, did you actually have feelings for him, right? Like was this a little tryst between the two of you? What's going on, right? So that way it'll cut through a lot of the bullshit that he usually puts up. That is his biggest weakness, right?
Yeah, because even though Tamaki's white knight kind of aspect stuff is a little bit annoying at times, probably for Haruhi. The first time he was cool was when he did I'm going to be the nice guy,
right,
and help her pick out her wallet from the fountain pool in
even though she
one.
didn't need the
even
help.
though she didn't need the help.
Right.
And that was a really big moment for her to up her perspective in a lot of ways with regards to Tamaki. So this moment here being something that can bring about another aspect of that as well is great. And while it was sheer luck that the thunder and lightning thing happened,
and that she happened to be scared of that and all of that. And by the way, the reason why I would say that this ending, because I could also see the way that the episode ended being something that would upset people, because it's like, oh, that means that the way that the heroine gets out of it is by acknowledging that she's actually weak and frail and scared and all that stuff. No. It's not about that. It's that there are certain things that she doesn't fully know how to handle, right? She knows how to handle a lot of things. We saw that this episode, right? A lot of things that people wouldn't expect her to be able to handle. But there are some things that, for whatever reason, right? There is a reason where she doesn't feel fully equipped to handle it, and she ended up being willing to depend on someone else, right? Because that's something that she hasn't really done in the show up till now, and certainly not in this episode, right? Even when Kyouya did the thing that he shouldn't have done, she still didn't call out for help from anyone. Now that's because she knew that Kyouya, wasn't actually doing anything. It wasn't actually dangerous, but the idea that she goes into her own little box, right? Traps herself in there, which, by the way, that's nice, because then the whole thing with Honey in the box, and nope, totally fine with that, right?
Yeah.
But then she's in there, and Tamaki is like, hey, this isn't good. Like, this isn't healthy, right?
Yeah.
One of the few times where in his baka-ness, he's actually able to get a good read on what's going on.
Right, and be there for her in a way that is really helpful. And this is something that I very much, almost feel like I'm upset at myself that I didn't see coming, is that, just in rewatching the first episode in the dub recently, getting to see the moment where you realize that she is kind of the, the kid with the single dad, kind of set up in this situation where she's super, competent in her schoolwork and stuff, but shows up to the host club alone, just looking for a place to study, alone. Then in this situation where a very common environmental occurrence of thunder and lightning happens, which, should have happened hundreds of times growing up, just in general, that led to her instinctively closing herself in a box, because that's how many times she's done it. And that thing of, I don't need anyone else, I have these nice four walls, I have this cube of safety. Led to her being in a situation where, when she saw what was the right thing to do, to act, she doesn't think about what is inside the bounds of her box.
Right.
And thus, we end up in a really cool way where Tamaki and her can really be vulnerable together there. And Tamaki says some really sweet things about how he's going to be there for her in these kind of situations. And that's really sweet. And I think it's entirely genuine from him. I didn't sense any kind of, oh, yes, I will be there for you.
Well, even with Tamaki's other sides of him, I feel like they're all rather genuine, and that's often part of the problem.
But the way he admits here, I think I get it. Okay, I lose.
Right.
To her, he's like, no, don't worry.
Yeah, because
I'm not going to hold on to my pride here in this case here.
Well, and
I get it.
I finally found a weakness of yours, but that doesn't count as, I don't see that as a victory. Right? Yeah.
And I thought this was a very fun little thing here. There is a very specific bit of imagery with regards to someone clutching at the bed sheets and tightly holding onto them. And it's like, yeah, I get it. But when Kyouya, prostrates himself above her and puts his hands, and this is a very specific position and stuff, and she kind of calls him out on, no, you're not going to do it because you have nothing to gain by going after me, right? And he just kind of smiles and goes, well, true enough. He kind of relents off rather quickly to be like, yes, this is not attraction, no interest there at all. And they use the part of where she's really wanting his presence there and stuff, holding tightly to contrast that, I think, to kind of reverse confirm, to kind of doubly confirm that Kyouya is not interested in women. That's just a really cool little visual thing there. But wow! For a beach episode,
that was
surprisingly
something.
Packed with way less fan service and way more character depth stuff.
Yeah, I hope that some of the things that happened in this episode are more of like this is the exception rather than the rule. And I think given that the previous 7 episodes we've seen didn't have anything really like this, I think that's something that we can take with some semblance of certainty. But
it is interesting to have this kind of be the point in the story where the idea of kind of a specific gender roles with regards to fear, strength, self kind of capabilities with regards to
confidence, or
no, not really confidence, because Haruhi had all the confidence in the world up until the thunder.
Oh, gotcha.
That's not the thing here. I think that what it was we have boys who are very much able to help Haruhi in this like specific case here. She doesn't call out for them. Gets herself into a situation where she's physically incapable.
She is in serious danger.
Yeah. She's physically incapable of protecting herself against this guy here. Nearly gets really seriously hurt. Tamaki saves her because he's a capable swimmer and he was there. Like he was kind of lucky in that regard. Haruhi was kind of lucky that he was there. Then we get into a situation here where Kyouya could hurt her again, but he actually can't because he has zero desire or nothing to gain.
That's not on the table for him.
Right, it's not on the table. So then she understands, well, then I'm not in danger or anything here. But then when he leaves, he goes, oh, nothing to gain, huh? I guess that is an interesting way to look at it. Given that was after Tamaki, entered and stuff, to where he's like, no, I think if anything, I'm a Keikaku Dori kind of person and stuff like that.
We have definitely seen
plans and
him
stuff like that. So
do the scheming.
Yeah, it felt like one of those things where he's actually maybe a little bit lonely at times because he ends up having to do all these kind of plans and things like that, where he sacrifices aspects of himself in order to make things better for those around him.
That's a fun theory.
And he didn't like that he felt like he needed to do this here.
But
he feels like the result was worthwhile.
Sure.
And I would love to get Kyouya focus where this kinds of stuff where he's, marionetting everything to try and make the host club work and all that is gotten into.
I would also love to see something where him and Haruhi talk at a later point about the whole idea of them feeling potentially alone in their own ways.
Sure.
Because the conversation that Haruhi has with the other characters in the club, it's because they're in high school and maybe not as much Haruhi, but for the other club members, they're not necessarily the most mature. There's always like this sort of filter because they all kind of like Haruhi a bit, or at least the twins and Tamaki.
They all really care about her, and she is kind of the newcomer, So there's still that fresh little fascination of like, what is she like? What is she not like? That kind of stuff.
But I would say we haven't had too many instances where we have actual vulnerable conversations
and conflict.
This
was the first kind of big
the whole bit
with
the lightning was probably the first big one for Haruhi.
Right.
And that's probably if Tamaki is going to be sort of the canon end like relationship.
Totally.
Things like this would be the reason why, right? Because we haven't really had that with much of the other characters. It makes sense why we haven't for Honey and Takashi because they have their own dynamic duo thing going on, and we don't know if they even necessarily crush on Haruhi at all, but I want to see more of those kinds of conversations.
Can I make an extra deep cut here?
Oh, okay.
The idea also that we're talking about this episode as being one where a lot of conflicts and vulnerabilities were brought up that felt a little bit awkward just because of the fact that we haven't had that much conflict really between Haruhi and any of the other characters in any strong way. So the Tamaki kind of pettiness here kind of played into that and left a situation maybe that Kyouya knew that he needed to solve at some point because a petty kind of being sob story Tamaki is not helpful for the host club.
Sure.
One of the things that might be going on here as well is that Tamaki actually really wishes, sorry, not Tamaki, Kyouya really wishes that he and Haruhi could be friends and share maybe a little bit of those vulnerable sides there because he is the one that feels a little bit, out of place amidst all these very horny heterosexual, men and stuff who are vastly less mature than he is maybe in general.
I mean, it's hard to get a read on Takashi, but,
Yeah, it's hard to get a read on Takashi. That is true. But the idea that Kyouya sees the way in which Haruhi defies stereotypes and is also quite confident in herself in moments where she's not fully capable of doing everything herself. And yet, if you think about it, Kyouya is the one who does everything kind of himself, and he doesn't really ask for help. He more delegates and tells people where he needs them. Now, that is a mature way of handling it. That's very mature. But there's another step, which is hey, I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
I need...
There is that parallel of Haruhi being able to handle most anything, on her own. Yeah. And then there's the instances where she can't.
Yeah.
And because she's used to handling things on her own, she still tries to do that when she should get help.
Right.
With Kyouya, there could very easily be a similar situation where because he handles things mostly on his own, because he's the responsible one in the club, what happens if there's something that you could use some help for?
Yeah, and the fact that this method that he used here was one that kind of didn't work. If anything, it confirmed some aspect for Haruhi of one of his vulnerabilities that he might be keeping secret from the rest of the group there. And he's like, wow, you're kind of amazing. The fact that you caught on to that. And he's like, you're right. And then he pulls back. And it's just this moment of where the two of them are like, well, that was awkward.
And it also might be something where it showcases Kyoya's own issues with when he tries to do things alone when he shouldn't, because the solutions that he comes up with
are not always the best ones.
Might really not be good solutions.
That's true.
But because he's doing it on his own, right?
Oh, that could be something there.
Yeah.
I really, really just feel like this episode is a setup for an eventual Kyouya focus where we can get to know a little bit more of his insecurities, his vulnerabilities, and stuff like that. While he is kind of still the
Keikakudori, glasses push,
kind of
private police and all that stuff. Yeah.
But okay.
Last thing I have to say from this episode. Well, two things. Okay, the puns with the crabs were wonderful.
Incredible.
Yep. It's the little things, Yep.
The montage, that was great.
It was excellent. But I think my favorite bit of comedy from this episode.
Yes.
It's Takashi just eating the crab with the shell. These are big crabs. I could maybe see that if it's like a smaller crab, so the shell's thinner. Maybe. These are big crabs. And it didn't focus on it in
he's just there in the background.
He's just there in the background.
Really doing it. Yeah.
Like, Oh man, that
He looked happy too.
Yeah, he
was just
did.
like, this is how I always eat crab. I don't know why you guys are so
Wait, you
confused
have
here.
milk with your bowl of nails? You know, like what? No, but yeah.
That's how tough Takashi is. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ate 6 crabs today without peeling the shells. Oh, right this way, sir.
Right. Yeah.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us about this anime, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Yes, we stream every weekday. The info is in the description down below.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
Next time.